Hey, thanks for making it to Veterans Info Tap. I'm glad you made it. Wanted to talk about uncertainties with regard to benefits, proposed reductions, what that would look like, how you can avoid a reduction, and keeping your VA benefits where they are or possibly increase, really. So the idea here is that the VA has the ability to reduce your rating. What can you do on your side to protect yourself? How do you know if you're protected? And in the event that you get a proposal for reduction, what can you do and what should you do? There is a little secret in there that's not really spelled out on the VA side, sadly, and it's kind of buried in the forms. So I'm going to share that with you as well. Let's jump into it. Before I do, though, I want to throw on a special thank you to Janice Fictum. Janice, thank you so much for that super comment, super chat. I really do appreciate it. Thanks again, Janice Fictum. You are wonderful. I appreciate you. All right, so jumping into this, it's important to understand the process first, right? Being prepared for a proposed reduction is not the ideal way to I guess, work this. In my opinion, there are things you could do up front when you are filing your initial claim with the VA that you could do to really help support a position in which you won't be reduced. Now, it's important to understand all of these factors and swim upstream a little bit, so bear with me, but we'll get through it. We're going to talk about what the VA is looking for, what you could do to really stack the deck in your favor, so to speak, and kind of what to do along the way when you're protected and what happens if you do get that letter for a proposed reduction. So, when we're looking at what the VA is looking for, as far as evidence is concerned, when you file your disability claim, we're usually focused on, well, for most people, you're focused on one thing, and you only hear one thing in a lot of these videos, and that is getting service connected. How can you get service connected? I throw out there's really two things you should be focused on, but now there's actually in my mind now a third thing that you should be focused on as you are filing your claim. Now, the second thing is not just getting service connected. The second thing is also getting the appropriate rating. Should you be a 30% for migraines, or are you going to be a 10%, right? If you should be a 30, but you only provide the evidence for a 10, well, you shot yourself in the foot. So the idea is review the schedule of ratings, make sure that you're getting all that information, work with your doctor to have them annotate that on a DBQ while they're still available. I'm assuming they're going to continue to be, but there is legislation out there that allows the VA to remove them that went into effect, I believe it was the end of December of 2024, that legislation. So in any case, work with your provider, have them complete a DBQ, cross-referencing all the stuff with the schedule of ratings. If your doctor can't, won't, or doesn't, utilize AME, American Medical Experts. They understand. They're board-certified doctors. They do telehealth for you. They can knock out DBQs, Nexus Letters, all of that type of stuff for you. Free consultation. Their link is in the description and in the comments for you to utilize as well. They understand the VA legalese of it all, right? So it's not just you have this condition. There's a lot of other factors that you need to wrap into it. So work with your doctor to get that DBQ. If you got that in there showing your severity, boom, you get the right rating. That's the second thing. The third thing now that we're thinking about it is what could you do to avoid a future examination? Why? Because if you have a future examination, that future examination could potentially warrant a reduction. I mean, it could. Who knows, right? Now, for most situations, no, your condition's not going to get better. It's probably going to get worse, all that stuff. But avoiding future examinations is probably a good thing to do if you can. Now, you can provide evidence that your condition has been the same or gradually gotten worse over the course of a 5-year period. And if the same level or worse warrants a specific rating, you can prove to the VA that your condition has been in existence and treated and all of that stuff at this specific severity for that amount of time. And that could, not guaranteed, look, the VA doesn't do everything right, but that could help you avoid a future examination. Why? Because of the 5-year rule. The 5-year rule is basically talking about the severity of the condition and that it's been in existence for at least 5 years. Now, for most people, what happens with the 5-year rule is we provide very minimal information, and the VA, it's all last minute, and then the 5-year rule kicks off basically at the same time you're filing your claim, and then the VA is going to end up filing what's a re-examination within that next 2 to 4 years or so. So one thing I'm going to jump into here real quick and just share with you is that 5-year period verbatim from the Code of Federal Regulations. So it says, when the findings and symptoms are shown by examinations scheduled in paragraph B2I of this section or other examinations, so any examinations, right? So from anywhere, hospital reports, that type of stuff, to have persisted without material improvement for a period of 5 years or more. So they're not saying VA only. It's not saying from the time of your claim. It's not saying any of that. And it's really opened up to other examinations and hospital reports, really pointing out to the medical community. So if you can prove that your condition has persisted without material improvement for a period of 5 years or more, what they're saying is you should not have a re-examination. And again, I'll read through that again in a minute, but just to point that out, that you might have a condition that you've had for more than 5 years and been treated for more than 5 years and have evidence of that. And you should probably either A, supply all of that documentation, which I'm not a super big fan of because there might be other stuff in there. But you could also get a letter from your doctor that says, hey, this patient's been being seen for this. There's been no material improvements for the period of 7 years or however long you've been there. If you have any questions, give me a call, right? So something like that would really point to the fact that your condition is considered static. Very important. So you can do that stuff up front and really protect yourself in the event that you have conditions that you've had for a long time, at least that they've been documented for a long time. That's also the difference, right? A lot of us rub dirt on it or whatever for many years before we actually get diagnosed. The real date of your condition is the date of your diagnosis, right? You can't self-diagnose. So what are we looking at now? We're looking at ways in which the VA would start down the path of a reduction and how you could protect yourself. So number one, up front, you can protect yourself by filing a solid claim with all of the evidence and documentation you need to cover that 5-year period in the event that you have that. Now, when would you start to receive other sorts of protections, right, against a re-examination? And again, why re-examination? Well, because that's where the VA looks to see if you still warrant the same rating that you've had. So on the Code of Federal Regulations, and I'm going to go through this on the re-examinations piece, then we're going to jump over to in the event that you get a proposal for reduction. So, and what you absolutely must do. All right, so in re-examinations in the Code of Federal Regulations, it is, I'm going to skip to kind of the meat and potatoes here. All right, scheduling for compensation cases, right? Compensation. So VA disability compensation, bad back, bad knee, all that stuff. So this is scheduling re-examinations. It says here, assignment of a pre-stabilization rating requires re-examination within the second 6-month period following separation from service. That's definitely not going to be the majority of us. Moving on. Following initial Department of Veterans Affairs examination or any scheduled future or other examination, re-examination, if in order, will be scheduled within not less than 2 years, nor more than 5 years within the judgment of the rating board unless another time period is elsewhere specified. So this is the majority. The majority of people are going to fall under this. And what they're saying here is that if they deem that you need a future examination from your rating, right? Boom, you get rated, but you only gave them documentation of the condition for 2 years or what have you. Now they're going to say, well, you don't meet that 5-year rule. So we're going to throw out a future examination somewhere between 2 to 5 years so we can re-examine you to see if you have any sort of improvement. Now, here's the important part. Well, two important parts. One, if you've been seen longer than 5 years from your primary doctor before you put in, for that specific condition, before you put in that claim, make sure you get that annotated in there because that could help you avoid that future examination. All right, now, number 2, here it says no periodic future examinations will be requested. In service-connected cases, no periodic re-examination will be scheduled. And it gives 6 reasons, okay? Number 1, when the disability is established as static. That is the easiest one, right? So you could also work with your doctor up front and have them state that your condition is deemed static, right? Have them write that on a letter. If you're working with your medical provider and you're getting that Nexus Letter and DBQ and all that stuff, and you're working with them and you're sharing the rationale that's needed and you're sharing the DBQ information that's needed from the schedule of ratings, let them know that you want that word static in there if in fact your condition is static, right? Some of them are just static by nature. And the VA does an okay job with that, but I mean, you can always double down on your side as you're filing this stuff. If your doctor can't or won't, doesn't, whatever, again, utilize AME. They're there for you, board certified doctors that understand VA. All right. Number 2, why would they not do a re-examination? Here's the second reason. When the findings and symptoms are shown by paragraphs scheduled in are shown by examinations scheduled in paragraph B21, which is the fact that it's static of this section, or other examinations, hospital reports have persisted without material improvement for a period of 5 years or more. So again, this is the 5-year rule, but it's also encompassing the static aspect of there's no need for a re-examination. And they're looping those together because if you have other examinations or hospital reports that show that, that could deem you static, and then you're no need for that future examination. All right, number 3, where the disability from disease is permanent in character and of such nature that there is no likelihood of improvement. So the condition itself and the severity is not likely to ever reverse itself, so therefore they will just deem you static. All right, number 4, in cases of veterans over the age of 55 years of age, except under unusual circumstances. So again, for most people that are over 55, the condition would become static unless some sort of an unusual circumstance that has a high likelihood of remission or getting better. All right, number 5, when the rating is prescribed as the scheduled minimum rating. So a good one to use, although this rating is on the chopping block, is tinnitus. Tinnitus only has one rating that can be assigned. It's 10%. So what they say here is if you get the minimum rating for that specific condition, that's already static. They're not going to remove that because you're service connected for it. You're going to get the minimum rating no matter what. All right, next one is number 6, where a combined disability evaluation would not be affected. The combined disability rating, adding all your ratings together, would not be affected in the future if the future examination should result in reduced evaluation for one or more conditions. So, you know the VA funny math. So if all the VA funny math adds up to a certain percentage and all of your conditions are static with the exception of one, and we'll say that it's whatever, it's a 10% rating. Then what happens is they go, okay, well, we would put a future exam on this specific condition for 4 years from now, but we're not going to, because even if we reduced it to a 0 or the minimum rating, the overall rating would still be the same. So there's no reason to do a re-examination because it doesn't change the dollars that are being spent. So there's no real necessary reason for the VA to move forward on that. It's just It's just a cost at that point. Remember that C&P exams are not medical examinations for treatment. They're just for the severity for the payment of benefits. All right. So those are the reasons why you would be protected based on the Code of Federal Regulations, which the VA has to follow. Now, again, do they always get it right? No, they don't always get it right. So you need to be prepared and you need to know. Now, what happens if you get a proposed rating reduction? So the number one thing, and I pulled up some notes here that I'll share with you, but the number one thing that I'm going to tell you is you're going to see two dates. One is request a hearing within 30 days. The second date you're going to see is submit evidence within 60 days. Okay? Well, look, you do what you want to do. But if you request a hearing, the VA will not reduce you while they go through the process. If you decide not to request a hearing, they can reduce you, and then even if you win, then you got to go back and try to recoup money, right? So, and it can be detrimental for some folks to have their disability payments cut, if you're living on every penny. So here's some notes. Veterans can request a hearing within 30 days of receiving a VA notice proposing a reduction of their disability rating. Requesting a hearing is not required, but it can prevent the VA from reducing a veteran's rating until after the hearing. Steps to request a hearing: respond to the VA notice within 30 days. Request a hearing. Gather evidence to support your case. Attend the hearing. Next part here is benefits of requesting a hearing. It delays the decision. It gives you time to gather evidence. It maintains your current rating, prevents the VA from reducing your rating until after the hearing. It allows you to explain your condition. You can also describe your condition in your own words. Additional evidence. You can submit new evidence to support your appeal within 60 days of the proposal date. This evidence can include statements from medical professionals, family, and coworkers. Final decision: if a reduction is still warranted, the VA will take final rating action. All right, so with that, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate each and every one of you. Have a great one, and remember, if we don't take care of each other, something went wrong.